Welcome back to another episode of Generation Red, the kettle corn of Husker fan podcast, where we try to be sweet, but at times we get a little salty. I am one of your hosts, Ken.
And hey, folks, it's Scott.
It is Coach BA.
Dang it, BA.
All right, that's on me.
We ruined it.
We're going clockwise, Justin. It's all right. We're going clockwise, bro. That's the rule.
Justin. We had a 50-50 shot at getting that right, and we missed.
Yeah, I was trying to
failed.
I was trying to avoid the awkward pause that normally happens, and I jumped the gun.
That's why they're at the top or at the bottom, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Awkward pauses used to be the name of the game on our podcast before you guys showed up. So
not anymore, baby.
You've definitely helped. Well, we've got a fun show for you tonight, folks. As you saw on the agenda, we're going to quickly recap the HCU game, move on to previewing Michigan, and then we're going to talk about the big fight in Vegas, because for me, that's the topic du jour tonight as far as I'm concerned. But we got to do the due diligence, right? We got to cover HCU. We've got to take a look back at that game and just remind everybody, if you're looking at Justin right now, he's telling you to like and subscribe. So make sure you do that. There you go. There you go. Thanks, Justin. Appreciate that. You know where to find us, Gen Red Pod on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Generation Red on your favorite podcast app, genredpod@gmail.com if you want to email us, and go to genredpod.com if you want to land some Generation Red merch. It's right there at the top of the page, gray bar. Just click on that and go get yourself some with the new logo or with the old school stuff. We don't care. Just buy some doggone merch. We also want your opinion during the show. So sound off in the live chat, or if you watch this on demand later, make sure you leave a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts and feelings on any things we discussed tonight. So right out of the gate, let's just jump right into some statistics from the game. Let's see here. Team stats. First downs, Nebraska beat HCU 30-11. I was surprised they got 11, to be honest with you. Nebraska was 5 of 9 on third down. They were 4 of 14, which means Nebraska didn't have a lot of third downs. We converted a lot of first downs without having to get into that third. So fourth down, 1 for 2. HCU was 2 of 2, mostly against the backups. Total yards, 554 for Nebraska to 160 for Houston Christian. Passing, Nebraska 362. Houston Christian 67. The third straight game that Nebraska has not allowed even 70 yards of passing, which is just an amazing statistic. That's no absurd. Matter the competition. Rushing 192 for Nebraska, 93 for Houston Christian. Nebraska was only penalized 4 times. That seems to be a pretty cool little trend I'm seeing so far this year, is that the penalties are down. The competition goes up. That may change a little bit here going forward. Whereas Houston Christian was 9 penalties for 70 yards. No turnovers for Nebraska. 2 turnovers for Houston Christian, I believe, on 2 fumble recoveries and 4 fumbles, but they picked up the other 2. And just a very slight difference in time of possession. So those are your team stats, guys. Just looking at those on face value, they're pretty representative of how the game went, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think my favorite statistic looking at that is, you mentioned the passing yards we gave up. I would say being able to get 362 between all of our quarterbacks combined. And that's an amazing statistic. I think having a legit passing attack this year is really what's going to set this team apart.
Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts?
I mean, I just like that. I can't remember when the quarter actually started where they actually started converting third downs, but I know it was deep into the second half before they even started converting third downs. And so that's pretty neat.
Mm-hmm. All righty. Anything else? Yep, you're muted there, Justin.
My bad. I was yelling at my dog. I mean, just a lot of picking up where they left off. The offense kept in this rhythm, the same success. You got to see a lot of work from Ives and getting some game reps. You got some guys in there getting some work. So it was nice to see the rotation of guys. We got to get some valuable depth. I think that's one of the biggest pieces of that. But kind of like Michael Rose-Ivy broke down on my show, Houston Christian, runs some of the zone blocking schemes that we're going to see from Michigan and that we saw against Cincinnati too. So he kind of prepped them up as a light, very, 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 very light version of Michigan, but it's just to get some of the stuff on film, the concepts, and Michigan did transition to more of a zone run scheme this week as opposed to when they played Oklahoma too. So a lot of good film on that game.
All righty, let's take a look at some of the individual stats from the game for Nebraska, specifically on offense. I didn't really pull anything from defense or for HCU, but very efficient day, 15 for 21 for 222 yards and 2 touchdowns for Raiola. TJ Lateef was 5 for 5 for 126 yards and 1 touchdown. And by the way, holy crap, what a pass. I think same pass earlier in the game, which we'll talk about here in a minute, Coach. And I mean, Lateef put it on a rope. Dylan dangled it like a bar of soap, and the wind caught it. So, rushing, Quentin Ives was leading rusher with 85 yards and 12 carries, and a touchdown. Emmett Johnson, 2 touchdowns on 78 yards with 13 carries. And Lateef was our third leading rusher with 3 carries and 15 yards and 1 touchdown. I like that dimension that he brings. I mean, with the troubles that Nebraska has once they get inside the 10-yard line, would they be tipping their hand too much if TJ Lateef were to run on the field and play quarterback in that situation going forward?
No, because he's shown his ability to pass.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking too. He can throw it, and he can throw it well. So why not bring him in that situation? It just seems like he scores without too much trouble with his legs if things break down.
Yeah, it keys up the element that we're probably going to, that we do have the dual threat aspect. So they're going to be more susceptible. They're going to be looking more for the run, but then that makes the defense, more complex on their side of things.
Right.
They have to account for both of those. So.
Then, of course, Nebraska had 2 receivers that almost had 2 receivers reach 100 yards in receptions. Cortez Mills Jr. with 98 yards, 1 TD. He was the one that was on the other end of that incredible pass by TJ Lateef. And then, of course, 4 receptions for Dane Key, 104 yards and 1 touchdown. Keys had 3 touchdowns, 1 in each game going through the first 3. I think you nailed it on the head, Justin, when you said that he would be a not key, but important part of this offense going forward. I didn't want to do the total pun thing there, but do you think he could continue at that pace with the way he's getting open? What do you think?
Well, 100%, if not more. I just think too, you think about the numbers he put up, and then think about just how little we got from Isaiah Hunter, and that just shows you just the ceiling of this wide receiver room. So I think Dane Key, we're going to get a lot of the same. He's just been a reliable guy that you can go to on 1st and 3rd down in the red zone. And that's just, he's a really good route runner. He's going to find ways to get open. So what you're seeing is what you're going to continue to get through the rest of the season. He's going to continue to find ways to get open, and they're going to continue to get him the ball.
I think so. I think you're right. I think he's going to be key going forward, especially I think on Saturday. I think Dane Key is going to be one of those guys Dylan's going to look for often. Especially in situations with one of my keys to victory, which I'll mention here in a little bit when we get to Michigan. But let's see here. What was next?
One thing to note too. Rashawn Nelson, Makai's dad, said earlier in my show that the reason why Makai didn't get a lot of touches, they were getting Quentin some snaps to get him. He didn't have a lot of reps in this offseason. Get him some valuable, meaningful reps, game reps too. So get him up to speed.
Yeah, get him up to speed and get that cardio going. He looked a little worn out after a few of those runs. So yeah, not bad to get him in there and hey, leading rusher, not a bad thing.
Might just be a little hesitation. He's still kind of working on the mental aspect of that injury, not getting reps in camp right before the season. It's hard to have total confidence coming back into that. So it's probably good to get out there and get some confidence in the leg.
So the good stuff that we saw on Saturday was certainly seeing Quentin Ives get his legs underneath him a little bit, get some success in the running game, seeing Emmett Johnson out after halftime because he did enough. There was no need to run him anymore. God knows we're going to need him going down the road. I thought that was good. I thought Dylan looked about as comfortable as he's looked in a game yet. I thought TJ looked as capable as he's looked in a game yet. I think the good that we can take forward from this game for sure is I think the offense is going to lead the way on this team when it comes to success this season. How about you guys? What were some of the good things that you came away with from Saturday?
No, I said this last week, and I will repeat it again this week. And I'm telling you, I'm fully admitting yet again how dead wrong I was after the Cincinnati game when I'm sure I said it. I saw a whole bunch of tweets, and we're just like, I don't know how much we're going to learn about this team in the next 2 weeks just because of the opponents. And I felt that way then, but I'm willing to say I was wrong because I was not expecting to kick their ass the way that we have just because of you guys have seen what's happened the last few – you know what I'm saying? It's just everyone kind of has those games. But I'll say I think the biggest thing that I learned is that we have the ability, which Nebraska I feel like hasn't had in a while, to kick somebody's ass. You know what I mean? Like for a long time, it's felt like it didn't matter who the opponent was. Like even we'd go win a game, like 31-10 or something. And yeah, it's a good win. But you know what I mean? The last 2 weeks have been an ass kicking from start to finish. You know what I mean? And I just feel like it's been a while since we've had those.
Any other thoughts on some of the good stuff from Saturday?
Yeah, I think it's got to be you almost got to inextricably tie together a game against Houston Christian and Akron and kind of compile them together as one analysis. And I'd say that the main takeaway I get from our last game, and especially Akron compared with it, is the lack of procedural and dumb mistakes. That I think that's the difference between us being able to kick people's asses and beating them handedly, but there's still, the scoreboard is, it could be worse or it could be better, just in the past, it just seems like you've brought up this point before, Dad, many, many times where it seems like we play down to our opponents. And while there were some things, I feel like our defense did struggle a little bit more in the second half with our second and third and fourth stringers going in. But all in all, I mean, I couldn't even knock them for it. I mean, they hardly let them get any points. But yeah, I'd say the main takeaway is just the lack of dumb mistakes, and they're still performing in a surgical and precise way. They're doing their damn job. And that's just that's the most proud I felt as a Husker fan in my adult life, practically. They're doing their damn job, and we'll see how it plays out when we play against a really, really challenging opponent like we got coming up on Saturday.
Justin?
Yeah, I mean, not much to add to there. I mean, pretty much everything in the operation was good. We got more of a pass rush than we had seen the previous week, which was another good thing too. So our special teams, continue to be good outside of the kicking off and out of the bounds, which we need to figure that part of it out. But yeah, offense stayed in a rhythm. Defense outside of the one play that was contained, and they just that touchdown doesn't score probably if it isn't second string. They get a little overly aggressive. They don't stay home. He's able to cut it back across the field and stuff like that. So, but yeah, just pretty much just piggybacking everything they said, just kept in a rhythm and got a pretty good pass rush this week, which we needed to see against a bad team. So.
For certain. So moving on to the stuff that needs to be improved between now and Saturday, I guess the only thing I could say is to stop kicking the doggone ball out of bounds. Yeah. I mean, special teams has been nails this year, except for that one little aspect. Is it because we don't have a guy that can kick it through the end zone, or are they saving Cunanan's leg? Because we know whenever he's kicked off, he's put it right through the end zone. So I don't know. What's that? They're saving him. Yeah, that's what I figured. So for me, that's it. You've stopped kicking the stupid ball out of bounds. And let's see if Ja'Cory Barney or Mosey or somebody can crack off a 20+ yard return of some sort on a punt this week. And then I'll say, yeah, our special teams are definitely better.
It's definitely better, just not quite. Yeah. Perfect for sure.
I will say this is very nitpicky, but I will say, and I understand it was the backups, but I would like to see some better tackling. I understand it was, I get it. That's very nitpicky of me, but you already kind of listed the only thing I really had in my head is just tackle better, but that's everybody. I mean, that's anybody, if you're not in the pros, watch any college football or high school football. Every college football coach in America sitting right now is we got to tackle better. So it is what it is. I know I'm being nitpicky there, but something against a good team like Michigan, we're going to need to tackle real well.
Oh, for certain. for certain. Anything else on that, or before we move on to BA's?
Well, just
breakdown?
to piggyback on his point, Central Michigan allowed 181 yards after contact, 3.31 yards per carry extra that Michigan got per carry just from breaking that first tackle. So that is something that they're going to have to make sure that as soon as they make contact, they are wrapping up and bringing the ball carrier down.
Oh, for certain.
Well, there's I don't know if I think it's like a close cousin to need improving. I'd say the thing that I want to see our team do specifically is Michigan's going to do some football stuff. They're going to make plays. They're going to perform at a higher level than we've seen this season. And how do our guys respond to it? How do they respond to the adversity of, maybe this is the game where Raiola finally throws his first pick of the season. Maybe our defense, maybe there's some missed tackles and they break off a huge 44-yard run and they're in the red zone now. How do our guys respond to that? They seem to do pretty good. They kept their composure and they stayed level-headed and stayed the task at hand when we were, slugging it out with Cincinnati. But they're going to have to do some bigger and better things against Michigan. And so I guess the part that I'm concerned with is, can Nebraska shake off the demon that's plagued us for many, many a season where we get our teeth punched in and we concede. So we're going to get our teeth punched in. How do we respond?
100%. 100%. The analogy I like to use for big time football games is, Justin will appreciate this. I always feel like it's like a big time boxing match, right? You're going to get hit, but then here's what's going to happen. Are you going to do what a lot of guys do and just cower up and just kind of try and survive? Or are you going to hit them back? I tell my football team that all the time. Are we going to sit there and just try and survive? Or are we going to swing back and we're going to hit and hit and hit? And that's the great thing about football. You just got to keep on hitting. So 100%, I think that's a really good one, Scott.
Yep, absolutely. And just like Mike Tyson was quoted as saying one time, everybody's got a great plan when they get in the ring till they get punched in the face.
I got a T-shirt with that. I got a T-shirt with that on it.
I figured
everyone's got a plan till they get punched in the mouth.
As soon as I was like, oh, I could use the analogy I throw at my football team all the time, I was like, Justin's going to like this one.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Well, before we move to your breakdown, BA, real quick, I just want to acknowledge the incredible privilege and honor it was for me to go down to Shawnee, Kansas this past Friday night and get to see you get your very first win as a high school head coach. I was glad to be there. I was meandering up and down the fence line the whole time. I couldn't sit down because it was one of those games that was just smacking people and smacking people and smacking people.
You saw a slobber knocker, man.
It was beautiful to see your kids. They looked dog tired and they just kept hitting. It was awesome to watch. Congratulations, coach. It was a well-earned victory.
I appreciate that, man. Like I told you 100 times, I'll keep telling you, I love that you traveled down for that. It was an honor to have you come down for that. You traveled a long way. I had some kids asking, like, man, did he really come down from Lincoln? I had some kids asking. I'm like, yeah, he really did. No, it was obviously a great game, and you saw it. I mean, came down to the very end. We played a dang good football team. I mean, the team that we played, we're 1A, which is the smallest classification. The week before, the team that we played on Friday beat a 5A team. So,
wow,
going against a private school, and yeah,
are they 1A as well, Shawnee?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And they beat a 5A, and then you held them to 6 points.
Yes, sir.
Unbelievable.
Yes, sir. No, obviously a lot of things we got to improve. We got to find ways to be more explosive on offense, which, don't worry, if you know me, you'll know we got things to get that figured out. Yeah, that won't be an issue for too much longer. Defense is flying around hitting people, but we've got to find ways. The boys are getting really good, and I could give myself credit for this, but I'm not going to. I'll give it to my boys. We've been really good at getting a score right before halftime. We've been really good through the first 2 weeks. We've got a score with under a minute left to go before halftime and leaving them with nothing to try and get that strike, right before the half. We just got to get better at striking on both sides of the half. We got to get we're getting the score on the first part of it. We're getting the score right before halftime. Then we receive the ball, and then we're kind of struggling on offense a little bit. So we got to get coming out at a halftime going, and we can get that going. I think we got the potential to be a dang good team. We made it through our non-district, like non-league games. We got 2 of them to open up the year. We finished 1-1 there. So from here on out, we got, league games with league implications. And, hey, it's a new season now. I know we're only 2 weeks in, but our next 6 games are going to determine – I mean, we want to be competing for a league title. So we're going to try and be in that mix. And we're 1-1 through the non-district play, so we're feeling pretty good about that.
Sweet. Sounds great. Don't you have a game on the Friday night game for Nebraska when we go play Minnesota? Yeah.
Yes.
That's going to suck for you.
It will be very well known. I do not. The score will not be told to me. I am going to go home. My phone will be off, and I will watch it when I get home. And I don't care if it's 1 a.m. Right, I will stay up.
That's awesome. Well, it's all yours. You've got the video clip down there. So, and then I'll upload the other one.
Sweet. I will get that pulled up.
So we are on to something we haven't done in a while, BA's breakdown.
Okay. So I'll say the biggest thing that I want to throw out there for this play is I just want to give, obviously, Dane Key, rightfully so, deserves a lot of love for what he's getting. But I just wanted to point out, I think our offensive line played a fantastic game. And again, I don't want to hear that it's Houston Christian. I don't want to hear it because as Nebraska fans, we all know how this has gone last several years against some of these opponents. But I will say play action, and something I want to point out, and I will try my best to bring it back, is if you watch these linebackers, something that as Nebraska's been able to get a run game going, and you see it a lot in Matt Rule's first year about the only explosive plays in the passing game we could get. We saw it last year again. And it's translating as we can get those linebackers and safeties to just inch forward a little bit. In major college football and in the NFL as well, but in major college football, just that one little step, that one split-second hesitation is what makes a huge difference in some of these plays in wide open. Like, I mean, I'll tell you, we did even at the high school level in our film session, we had a wide open guy, and I'll say, hey, I show my safeties because you took one step forward. Why are you going? You should be backpedaling right now. You got a deep path, right? So if you watch those linebackers just getting hung up on that play action a little bit because of how good Nebraska's run game has been able to get Dane Key going. But, man, look at that. You can't get a better pocket situation than that right there. That's the biggest thing I wanted to show our guys some love on is obviously Raiola and Dane Key deserve a lot of credit for all the great stuff they did on this play. But just that clean pocket and then just tracking that ball too, because I know you may think, oh, you're wide open. That's an easy thing. He had to adjust to that ball a little bit, and anyone that's ever played wide receiver at about any level probably knows when you're running as fast as these dudes can run. I know not many people can run as fast as Dane Key can run, right? But tracking that ball, making the adjustment, and still getting to that thing, it is just one of my favorite plays of the day. I'll let it play through one time without pausing it. I'll put it back up there if it stops. But, yeah, no, overall, just that play action fake, getting those guys to bite, because then you see the back pedal still and just didn't get there in time. And just that slow, and, again, in major college football, it's just those small little details that not everyone's going to recognize that make the huge difference in these games.
Yeah, because I can kind of see what you're talking about here. We've got this, is that a linebacker right there? Or no, he's far back enough that he's
probably a safety.
Yeah, so he takes his,
and then
by the time he turns his body, Dane Key's
because that's what's exciting about this play is let's just say they cover him better on the back end. We still, here, I'm trying to get it at the right spot. I don't even see who that was there, but we still got the dig coming underneath that we all know that Dylan can hit that thing pretty well too. I mean, I think it is. Sorry, I can't tell from the thing, but no, that's the exciting thing is that, and we all know how much Dylan likes to hit those dig routes as well. So I think that's exciting about, hey, if we can protect this thing, which I really do believe that we can protect the pocket, just those small little things of getting those dudes hung up there. Is just, and we just have athletes, man. We just have athletes. I know we got Michigan next, but that's what I think some of these other Big Ten teams are going to struggle with is just the athletes we have outside. Because obviously our last 2 opponents struggled with them.
For sure. All righty. Cool.
And I will throw the other one on there. This one is necessarily here's what I will say. I wanted to show the love for all the work that so you guys know a little bit, like I have had the privilege of like going and watching Nebraska practice now on several different occasions, like not on like the open media days. Like I'm talking like where it's me and just a couple other high school coaches there. Right. Coach Dvorak's always been really awesome, making sure I get up there quite a bit. And something that I have really appreciated about Matt Rule that you'd think a lot of teams do this, but I promise you I've been to other Power 4 conference schools practices. They don't all do this. The emphasis that they put on turnovers and turnover drills and everything of that sort doesn't happen everywhere. And you've even heard Rule talk about it in press conferences of like, yeah, I know this kid had a few sacks, but we need to get the football out. Like, what coach is up there complaining about a kid getting 2 or 3 sacks, right? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. They put such a big emphasis on turnovers. And I'm telling you, they do it every single day. And I'm telling you, like this little what I'm about to show you is a drill that all 3 years that I've seen them practice, I've seen our defensive line do. The strip sack, and then the other guy come from the other side, the scoop and score. That has just been something that has translated amazingly. Just, I know it's hard in, the full speed, but man, just the way that he is not going for the sack, he is going to get the football first and then take him down. You can see it if you just watch. He goes for and again, that's how you teach it at a high level. You know what I mean? He's going for the football first and then taking him down. And that's a huge deal. And then obviously they work this thing all the time. All the time. I've seen them do it is just after the fumble, the backside, whoever that next guy is getting the scoop on that backside. Now, I know Rule gave a hard time about almost fumbling going into, almost getting that thing punched out. But, hey, baby steps, I guess, right? He sets out his first ever touchdown. We'll let it slide a little bit. But, no, I just wanted to show the love there because there's a whole bunch of plays I could have shown because, obviously, the defense played an outstanding game. But I just think the biggest thing I wanted to just show was how awesome striking that football. Again, just the drills, my favorite, the reason I picked this one is my favorite play as a coach are plays that like directly translate from drills that we do all the time. So that way you can very directly show your kids, like, this is why we do this. You know what I mean? Like, this is why. So to have that actually pay off in a big game, like, hey, I understand that big game in terms of the whole season, maybe not. But this is a big defensive game of trying to – hey, this is the last test before Michigan, right? So I don't care what anybody says. This was a big game for those dudes on the field.
Sure.
And then being able to just go get that scoop and score. Again, yeah, just get that thing completely tucked away. I know he did ended up tucking it a little bit, but he had that thing pretty loose. But like we said, he doesn't really go carry the football very often, so it's going to be hard to be too hard on him here. But
and I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if there was very little praise for the scoop and the score. There was very much criticism and high standard.
Yeah. Was it the conference on Saturday or was it on Monday when yesterday? I can't remember which post game or one of the games conferences he brought it up of, yeah. Yep. Hey, it's first ever touchdown, but we got to tuck that thing away. But yeah, no, the reason I picked that play was just because I just wanted to say that, like, I've just seen them rep this drill now for 3 years, and just to see it, even with some of the new guys coming in, being able to do that. I love seeing drills that translate to games. So that's why I picked that play. And I thought, obviously, a fantastic defensive effort, but I really wanted to just show how directly those drills translate.
Very cool. Thanks for that, Coach. I wondered if that wasn't the direction you were going to go with it, because I know I saw a lot of your kids Friday night when they came up on that quarterback or whoever was running with the ball. They were trying to knock it out.
Oh, yeah. That's how you teach it.
Yep. All righty. So let's why don't we just go ahead and give our game ball awards out real quick. Mine, believe it or not, is wide receivers coach, and I've got a couple of reasons for that. Number one, there are 4 guys on this wide receiver core that have caught up to have accumulated 100 yards in receiving so far this year. and a fifth one that's within 7 yards of 100 yards in I think it's Cortez Mills. I don't remember. Maybe not, but so for me, the upgrade in the room, number one, is great, but I think the upgrade in the headset has been absolutely nails for this team. And I think Dylan is a lot more comfortable, is finding a lot more dudes that are running open, knows where he's going to go with the ball. And I think a lot of that has to do with the guy that's coaching the wideouts. So he gets my game ball.
Good boy, bud.
No, that's a really good one. Obviously, I mean, I picked Dane Key just because, I mean, like I just talked about a little bit earlier, just teams are going to have a really hard time with him. And that is a very good thing for us. He obviously had a great game, but I really like your game ball as well. I don't mean this as a shot towards anybody whatsoever, but it's going to probably feel like one. I just feel like our wide receivers are coached really, really well this year. I feel like you can just see the improvement just in how they're coached. Like I said, I understand that's going to sound like one. I'm not trying to take a shot at anybody, but I really mean that as praise towards Coach Shorts, just because I feel like he's doing a really great job with that room. For sure.
Scott, you've also got Dane Key.
Yep, I got Dane Key. I mean, stat line, standout. Dane Key, he's going to do some good things for us this year. I just can't wait to see an end of season highlight reel of all the things he does.
Yeah, that's good. That's going to be that's something I wasn't even like thinking I needed to see, but like now I'm already pumped for it. You know, that was nowhere on my brain, but now I'm going to think about it quite often.
Yeah, and we're at the point now where, I mean, we've played less than stellar talent thus far, but we're on track between Dane Key, Ja'Cory Barney, and Isaiah Hunter, and even Cortez Mills, and then our tight end room and everything. Between those, we'll just stand out wide receivers specifically. We're on track to have multiple dudes close to that 1,000-yard mark. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Dane Key is tracking right now to have about 760 to 800 yards if he continues at the same pace. And likewise, Corey Barney's tracking at about the same rate. I was incorrect. There are 5 wide receivers who have 100 yards accumulated so far this year, except one of them is a tight end.
Yep. And that's exactly 100.
Exactly 100.
Luke Lindenmeyer has exactly 100.
And Isaiah Mosey is the one that's 7 yards away from being number 6. Yeah. So that's pretty cool that he's got that many yards catching the ball basically out of the backfield. So, and of course, as I said before, Key has a TD in each of the first 3 games. Your pick is interesting, Justin.
I got a bonus. I give a bonus.
Excited.
I give us bonus one to Quinn Ives. A bonus one to Quinn Ives because y'all know my Ives been my dude for a couple of years. I need to see him get out there and do it. So, but yeah, Bud Crawford. Yeah, I figure we're probably going to talk about that before too long. Anyways, but what a performance! Prove me wrong because I picked Canelo, so it's only right that I give Bud the game ball. I was glad I was wrong. Don't get me wrong. I was glad I was wrong, but he put on I don't think people who don't watch boxing understand. He put on a masterclass of a performance. Did exactly what he needed to do. Kept the rhythm, changing. Kept Canelo's timing off. Canelo's a counterpuncher, and Bud became the counterpuncher. And so he kept his rhythm off. He didn't let it. Canelo's a rhythm fighter. He was mixing up his combinations. He was switching stances. He was fighting behind his jab. And Canelo could never really get a chance to reset and figure out where he wanted to take his game plan from there. It was constantly every time he would set, he would get hit. And then he would have to reset. And then every time he would kind of back Bud into a corner, he would kind of walk him into the corner. And he wants you to escape out with you landing those hooks on your way out. He wants to hit you and punish you with those hooks on your exit. But Bud would get out before he had a chance to get the hooks to him. So he ended up reaching on a lot of shots. And he ended up chasing more than he was cutting the ring off. And once you end up chasing, your legs get tired, and it's an uphill battle. You're supposed to try to cut those guys off, but Bud made it difficult. So yeah, shout out to Bud.
Oh, 100%. Hey, I do have a question for you guys. And obviously, I'm sure there's logistical side that I'm not thinking of, but Bud Crawford has to lead this team out on Saturday, right? Are we in agreement on that? Like, that's just got to happen, Right? Am I crazy? Like I feel I'll be disappointed if it doesn't happen.
Wouldn't be surprised if it did. I've heard the 95 team and I've heard Bud Crawford. So
the 95 team is going to
okay.
Hey,
let me rephrase. I would not be like upset if it's the 95 team. Let me just say that.
Well, the 95 team is going to get their own tunnel walk. They'll come out
Right.
first. That's what they did with 94 team. So they'll come out first, they'll line the sides of the tunnel, then they'll do the tunnel walk again for the team. And I'm guessing then Terence will
I just feel like with
out.
Rule and Dan making the trip out there and all the support that it's, I just feel like it has
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've been seeing people talking about it.
Yeah.
I remember when the fight first started, I thought, what the hell, we'll just go ahead and talk about the Crawford-Canelo fight now since you gave me your game ball, then we'll move on to Michigan. So I thought in the first 5 or 6 rounds, I could see what Bud was doing. He was figuring out his timing, figuring out when he'd walk him down, how he'd get out of the way. And once he figured all that out, then he started being aggressive at the beginning of the rounds after the middle of the fight, about 7, 8 on. It seemed like he got in there right away. Tap, 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 tap. Canelo's like, what the hell? Started to walk him down, and then Bud started counterpunching. And there was some body shots landed and some things landed that Canelo wasn't expecting. And that was fun to watch that. And I remember hearing the corner saying, feint him with the jab, feint him, see what he does with his guard with the jab. And then you saw later in the fight, he'd throw his jab in his face, his glove would come down, then he'd come right behind it and smack him right across the nose. So it was pretty cool to watch the strategy and see how it all kind of unfolded. But by the end, it was like, the scoring was way too damn close by those 2 judges. It was way too close. It was like, come on, he schooled him.
Yeah. I feel like that 5th or 6th round game plan to come out aggressive was to try to potentially prevent Canelo from making any mid-fight adjustments. Canelo's a championship fighter, so a lot of times he makes his adjustments in the latter half of the fight and tries to punish him down by those championship rounds 10, 11, 12. But I think he did that to make sure that Canelo constantly was guessing at what he was trying to do. And then once Canelo realized that, okay, he doesn't fear my power, he's stepping to me, then Canelo's a completely walk you down type of puncher. He's not a fight off his back foot guy. So that really threw him off. But then then Bud would mix a little bit of both. He would be aggressive at times, but then he would move at times. So
yep, it was a masterclass. It was an absolute treat to watch. I was up watching it and jumping up and down in the living room as the 12th round was ending because I just knew he had it. I knew he had it. And
I was so tired because I barely slept on Friday night, and I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna stay up for this fight. But then, so just like obviously I get home late Friday night, and I'm just wired after our football game. After that fight on Saturday night, I go to lay down in bed and I can't fall asleep because of how juiced I was for the fights. So I've barely slept.
That's me after every fight. After every fight night, bro. They go so late too. It's always
I was sleepwalking at church the next day for sure. All righty, let's jump into Michigan. Shall
Let's do it.
Alrighty, so I'm going to throw up some stat comparisons between us and Michigan at this point in the season, and I think they're pretty poignant because it kind of documents. And I know the competition. I understand the level of competition, but like you said earlier in the show, Coach, what we did the last 10 years against teams we should kick the crap out of, we've always played down to their level. We're not doing that this year. This team seems to have that killer instinct mindset. So when you look at that, there seems to be a flip-flop here in the stats. If you would have compared us to Michigan 2 years ago, the stats would be completely flip-flopped. But now you're looking at Michigan's offense is ranked 39th in the NCAA at 452 yards a game, 8th in the Big Ten, whereas Nebraska is 10th in the NCAA in total offense, or per game offense at 545, and 4th in the Big Ten. Passing, we're averaging 366 a game, 5th in the NCAA, 1st in the Big Ten. 83rd in the NCAA is the Michigan passing offense at 209 a game and 14th in the Big Ten. And then, of course, there's the rushing stats. For those of you who are listening to this podcast, I've just got a slide up here on the screen. So 243 yards rushing. There's where they've got us. So they're 15th in the NCAA, Michigan is, and they're 4th in the Big Ten. Nebraska is only getting 179 yards a game, 60th in the NCAA, 10th in the Big Ten. I have a sense that they're holding some of the running game back. I just do. Scoring. Michigan is 36.7 points per game, 45th in the NCAA and 10th in the Big Ten. And then Nebraska's scoring at a 49-point per game clip, which is 9th in the NCAA and 5th in the Big Ten. So looking at those offensive stats, guys, Nebraska has certainly improved on offense through the first 3 this season versus last season when through the first 3 we had a different offensive coordinator and it seemed like we couldn't put points on the board in the second half. Do I have that about right?
Oh, yeah. No, 100%. I think the thing that excites me just looking at these stats, I know we've talked about it just so much, but just how great the passing attack has been. If we can find a way to get that run game going and keep those linebackers, especially linebackers and safeties, guessing on what we're doing, I think that's what excites me. Just having the ability to take the top off of defenses. I just feel like something we haven't had. And obviously the stats back that up.
For certain. Any other comments on those stats, guys? So I can move on to defense here.
Yeah, just because are we going to the full preview right now of this game?
We're kind of doing, that's what we're working on now because I know you've got a hard out at 7. So
well, no, I just wanted to dive into it a little bit because I do want to caution people of looking at Michigan's offense and looking at that Oklahoma game and taking just putting any stock into that Oklahoma game. One of the biggest things to pay attention to is in the Oklahoma game, they tried to run the air out of the game. They really just tried to run the ball against that Oklahoma air raid offense. They were just trying to really shorten the game as much as possible. So they came out, ran a lot, and they had Bryce Underwood kind of on somewhat of a leash. Well, against Central Michigan, they went to they gave him more of a green light. In the game against Oklahoma, they had 11 zone runs and 18 gap runs and 1 scramble. Against Central Michigan, they had 20 zone runs, 23 gap runs, and 6 scrambles. Now, one of the biggest things to note there is that's going to really, that is what we struggled with Cincinnati against, is the zone running. And so one of the biggest things that we need to be aware of is just our defense everybody needs to do their job. And this time we need to not be we can't sit back as much. We need to be a lot more aggressive in getting downhill, or else we're going to get punished by the zone blocking. Again, it's going to leave cutback lanes open, and Bryce Underwood is going to use his legs. Chip Lindsey came out and said Bryce Underwood, their offensive coordinator, he came out and says that Bryce Underwood does have a green light. He's going to run the ball. He's not going to slide. One thing to note, that man does not slide. If he does, that's because he finally listened. But Chip Lindsey has basically given up on him. So we need to be ripping and raking at that ball every time he leaves the pocket. But the biggest thing is just to make sure that there's going to be a lot of RPOs. He's going to be getting the ball out of his hands quickly. And it's going to be, little RPO, just quick little passes out, screen passes. But don't get it twisted. They're going to push the ball a little deep downfield too, because they had a couple of elements where they had an RPO where they have a guy streaking right up the seam. And that they move that pocket right. So it's going to be a whole lot of deception with Bryce Underwood. So just if anybody's taking any stock into that Oklahoma game and what they did offensively in that game, do not, because it's going to look completely different against Nebraska. It's going to look more like it did against Central Michigan. So,
yeah.
That was my guess as well after kind of watching some of the highlights from that game as well, was that the offense has changed. He's let him loose, and he said he's got the green light.
Yeah.
He's got the green light, so containing him is going to be key for certain.
But not only that, just the run game in general too changed up from that zone run to the gap run to zone run too. So,
alrighty,
interesting.
So if you look at the defensive stat comparison, Nebraska is pretty good. Granted, some of its competition. Michigan's averaging, giving up 271 a game on opposing offenses, which is 33rd in the NCAA, 11th in the Big 12, 10, Big 12. Good Lord. Nebraska's given up 202, which is sixth in the country and third in the Big Ten. 83 passing yards, 182 passing yards per game by Michigan's defense. It's 83rd in the country, 14th in the Big Ten. Nebraska, on the other hand, has yet to give up 70 yards in a game, so they're averaging 66, which is first in the country, first in the Big Ten. Rushing 89 yards a game, so that's their strength for Michigan. They're good at stopping the run. So that's 25th in the NCAA, 8th in the Big Ten. Nebraska is 15th in the Big Ten and 75th in the country in giving up rushing yards at 136 per game. And then scoring. Nebraska's only given up 8 points per game. Michigan's given up nearly 15, which is 33rd in the country for Michigan, 7th in the country for Nebraska, and 10th in the Big Ten for Michigan, and 5th, respectively, in the Big Ten for Nebraska. So looking at those stats, boys, I know there's probably some nuances there to that Michigan defense that you would have a little bit more insight into, Coach or Justin, as to what they're maybe doing that would make them be a little bit more effective against our pass game, perhaps? Or do you see that as being kind of that spot that we can attack?
No, you can go. Whatever you got, Justin.
Oh, so you want me to take this one?
Yeah, go for
it.
So Wink Martindale, very good defensive coordinator. Albeit their defense wasn't excellent last year. They had a lot of talent. Wink Martindale's scheme really wasn't as good, but his defense has come out this year. And the believe it or not, their weakness and what Michigan fans believe is their weakness right now is in their defensive line, not in talent, but in the way it's performed so far. Linebackers is probably the strength of this team, with the secondary being pretty good. But that defensive line can flash at any moment. Last week, I will say they are kind of doing some personnel adjustments. They wanted to get a little bit bigger defensively against Central Michigan last week than they were against Oklahoma, so they supplemented a linebacker, Jason Barham, down to edge, and TJ Guy didn't get any snaps, but they're going to put Jason Barham back at edge, or back at linebacker, and TJ Guy will be at the edge. So their linebacker core is going to be back, kind of bolstered up. So tough linebacker core, and I think tight ends are going to be a big part of who wins this game too. So linebacker is one of our strengths as well. So really interesting how both the strengths of defense lined up, and both teams want to take advantage of the intermediate part of that field to open their offense up.
Now, this is kind of a something, and I know Justin's got to go here in a few. That's kind of why I'm bringing it up now. This might be more of in the keys to victory section, so I apologize for that. But I really want to get Justin's kind of feedback on this. Just something that I've kind of thought about a little bit is I am wondering how much of Michigan playing against Oklahoma early on, how much of a factor will that be in this game? Because what I mean by that is just obviously the first time you have like a real big, like a really good team going against you, right? And so here's what I'll say is I understand that the Cincinnati game was a big primetime game, whatever. I think we're all in agreement that Michigan's a hell of a lot better than Cincinnati, at least on the surface. Clip this later, call me wrong. Yeah. I think Michigan's going to be a hell of a lot better than Cincinnati, right? So I guess I just look at it as I don't know. Nerves probably isn't the right word, but just that getting punched in the mouth factor by another big loaded team, another team with really big expectations. Like Michigan's already done that once this year. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I understand they lost that game, but they did go get punched in the mouth by Oklahoma. They played that big time game. Just how much do you think that could be a little bit of a factor of this is going to be by far, I feel like, the best team Nebraska's faced so far? And maybe Nebraska ends up better than Oklahoma. I think there would be a chance for that at some point, but I don't think it would be as big of a gap. Like even if Nebraska ends up being better than Oklahoma, I don't think it's like leaps and bounds like, oh, this is by far the best team they've faced. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So how much of a factor do you think that sort of plays in it?
I think it's huge. I think Bryce Underwood, especially going on the road and getting those lumps, I think taking those lumps and making those mistakes was good for him. But at the same time, too, the offense was different than it is now. So he's still going to make room. He's still got a lot of room to make mistakes in this offense. Right. But I just think just the nature of the beast when you go against a tough opponent like that, like there are things that show that you will not see until you face a team like that. No matter how good the team may be, if they're not that tier, there's going to be things that only that team can show you. And so I think there's some valuable things that they learned from the film that they wouldn't be able to get from anybody else that really helped them. And then that road environment against a top team and a tough road game too.
No, 100%. I'd be feeling, okay, I feel confident about this game. Don't get me wrong, but I'd be feeling really, really, really good if, like, Michigan had also not faced Oklahoma. Like, if they would have just had an Akron or somebody like that on there, and this was going to be the first test, the first road test, the first hostile environment, the first really good team you're going against, you know,
because now they've made adjustments to their O-line and stuff like that too.
Right.
So like they, so they've made adjustments based on what they saw in that game.
Right. And like, I don't want to say we don't know, this is probably a bad way to word it, of like, we don't know where our weaknesses are, because I feel like we probably do, but like, there's going to be things that get exposed in that Michigan game that we probably don't know about yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
the good news is,
like, to your point earlier of like, you just don't know that until you face a team of that caliber. So there's going to be something that comes up that we don't know is going to be an issue until it comes up. And I
think the biggest thing that's helped us is we've faced a mobile quarterback in his own run scheme. And I think
do agree with
we
that.
struggled against that. And I think that will help us for sure. But what you're saying, there are some things still that will not be shown until we get there.
Right. So that was just something I was thinking about that today. Just a lot. It's just a thought on my mind. And I was like, I can't wait to ask the guys and, ask you, Justin, of just, I know you had to get out of here in a few minutes, but just what your thoughts were on that. Cause it was something that was on my mind quite a bit today. I'm like, dang, I really wish they hadn't played Oklahoma.
I think we've both been set up well by our quote unquote toughest game so far.
Right. Right.
Oh, for certain. You have some keys to victory, Justin, that you'd like to throw out there? Just
I think one of the biggest things, kind of like BA already mentioned it, but one of the things I said on my show is we're going to need to make sure that when we get ahead of the ball, we're bringing the ball carrier down. We're getting that tackle. We can't allow them to get extra yards after contact, or else they're going to eat us alive. And we have to make sure that we contain more than anything in this game. You have to contain and stay in your lanes and make sure that Bryce doesn't get out of the pocket. I don't care to spy. You don't need a spy. If you can contain him, you don't need a spy. You can have that extra body out there, right? So before all else, we need to make sure that our edges are smart in their rushes. We're not over pursuing. We're not over committing. We're being smart in our pass rush lanes. And I think that's what won us the game. If we keep Bryce in the pocket, he's going to be 18 years old. John Butler is going to have rolling coverages, and he's going to confuse him.
Good. I had kind of the same key to victory when it comes to defense, is keeping Underwood contained in the pocket. Hopefully we're doing decent enough against a run game that we have to make him beat us with his arm.
Yep.
We get to that point where he has to throw because our offense has figured something out. Maybe Dylan, the other key I've got is Dylan's pre-snap reads are going to be vital, especially when they show blitz.
Right.
So we're going to check into that play where Key or somebody comes in on a quick slant. We can get some cheap, easy yards that way and back those guys off a little bit, jump out to a 10-point lead. Then, most likely Underwood's going to have to do a little bit of throwing, and that's just going to play into our hands. So those are mine. How about you, Coach? Do you have any? And whenever you got to go, Justin, just say it.
I don't have a ton to add just because I feel like, I think you covered that really well. No, I think just getting them I just think forcing their hand. And I know that that's going to be probably what you'd say about a lot of Big Ten teams, but I just feel like it's extra important in this game of we got to force their hand. You just have to, and get them out of where their comfort zone would be at. That's I feel like just going to be the biggest key is make Michigan uncomfortable, make them uncomfortable. Like, hey, the boxing analogy earlier, hit them and make them hit you back. You know what I mean? Yeah,
sure. Scott, how about you?
Yeah, I'd say my main things are keep mistakes at the absolute minimum. Obviously, like Coach was saying, roll with the punches. And then our secondary, hey, see you later, Justin. Our secondary is number 1 in the nation, number 1 in the Big Ten. I pray that they don't let hubris get in the way with them executing their job, because with I'm going to just assume that with us knowing that zone block is something that we're going to have to figure out how to combat against, and that we're going to have a mobile quarterback like we had with Sorsby. We're going to have very similar circumstances, I feel, like we had against Cincinnati, but with a way higher caliber team. Can our secondary do their damn job when that ball does get slung down the field? Because there's going to be moments where Underwood is going to sling that ball out there, and we're going to have man-to-man coverage. And is our secondary going to look like a broken, thin veneer of, they were number one in the nation until this game? Is that something that we're going to have to face as Husker fans and feel the heartbreak of that? Or are they going to truly live up to the expectations and the hype of being the number one pass defense in the country?
Sure. Good
So
point.
my key to victory is the secondary needs to act like the number one secondary in the nation.
Yeah.
Because they're going to get tested big time.
Let's see. What was the thing I heard today? You wonder how many times they're going to target Sierra right side of the field, because he's only been targeted, 4 times this year is what I heard today.
Yeah,
and
no, that's a good point. I do wonder if they're going to try and test that out early and see, just to see what they have. That's a good point. No, I like that. I would guess they'd test that out early. I don't think they would just save that towards the end of the game. I think they're going to test that out in the first couple possessions.
Or are they going to go to the other side, because Donovan Jones is now playing that other corner, and you've got Marshall, who's been playing more in that slot receiver role. So
right.
No,
I feel like early on they're going to try and test right just a little bit and just see what they got, because hey, if he shuts it down, and now you know. You know what I mean? Now you just have that. Whatever guy up in the booth is going to take his little notes, and you're able to just move on from there.
Now, before we move on to score predictions, because that's what we're going to be. That's the fun one. I do gotta have an interesting discussion here, though. That when we look at this Michigan game, there's a lot of, in my opinion, I think are pretty big implications. We haven't beat a ranked opponent in 27 games. And the last time we beat a ranked opponent was in 2016 against 22nd ranked Oregon. And they finished the season 4-8.
Yep.
And then I did write this stat down just to really add on to the salt. Last ranked against the team that finished above 500 was in 2015 against Michigan State, and that team did finish 12-2. So,
went to the playoffs.
That's 10 years ago. That's 10 years ago where we beat a ranked opponent and they finished the season ranked. And to segue properly, but if you guys have any thoughts on this whole, spiel I'm on, please add your thoughts. But we're segueing into our score predictions here, and that number 27 kind of stands out to me because it's been 27 ranked opponents that we've lost against, and the season that we lost or that we won against a ranked opponent was the last season or the first. Wait, I didn't write this down. Was that the last season we had Sam Foltz, or was that the season after he passed away?
2016. That would have been after he passed away.
Yeah, because that wasn't the year that we did the empty backfield memorial for him.
Yes, it was 2016. That was the year we beat Oregon, and
yes, it was because
one of their jerseys with his number on it and laying it on the bench on our sideline. It was always really cool. All the teams that honored it.
So poetically, Sam Foltz's number, as I'm sure Husker fans know, was 27.
Yeah.
So we're doing this for Foltzies. But then, the other stat line that I remember us talking about this before Matt Rule got hired, and then especially after he got hired. But Matt Rule was 0-11 at Baylor against ranked opponents. He did not beat a single ranked opponent when he was at Baylor. And he is 2-22 total as a head coach. His only 2 ranked wins were against number 21 East Carolina in 2014 and number 19 Navy in the 2016 AAC championship. So there's a lot of demons that Nebraska is going to have to shake off her back with coach and with the team in general.
Sure.
So do you guys think this is the game where the narrative has changed?
Here's what I will tell you.
I think our score predictions all say that. Yeah.
Here's what I will say, though. 3 weeks ago, my answer would have been no. When I did my season preview, I picked this as a loss. I did. I was going to keep it the same. I really was. And I said no. No, I really believe just physically seeing some of this stuff with my own eyes now, it's like it can happen. Now, I will say if we lose this game in a close fashion, is this season over? No, I'm not. It's not one of those games, right? But I really do think we have a real shot to go win this game. And I think it's part of just I know we talked about it earlier, and I know I do understand we're not going to go out there and dominate them, but just having the ability to, in the manpower and the drive to be able to just go kick somebody's butt is going to pay off in terms of this and these big games of, hey, I don't care that you're just as big and strong as me. I'm going to come kick your ass. You know what I mean? There's some of that. I feel like this team just has a little bit of a different moxie about them that they haven't had the last few years, and I feel like we saw it through the first 3 weeks. I know I said earlier that we haven't had that big, primetime opponent or necessarily, that huge, big marquee matchup. But, hey, we won a tight game against Cincinnati. I understand we had some weak competition, but, we were able to rebound from that, able to rebound in that game. And then the next 2 weeks, I just feel like this is going to be the year that they can finally just, hey, we'll keep coming back to it. This is going to be a theme of the show. This is the year that we're not just going to sit back and try and survive. This is going to be the year that we swing back and smack somebody. And I really feel confident with this group.
Yeah, I mean, we might as well just talk about what we think the score is going to be on Saturday. I am in the camp where I believe Nebraska can and will win this one by 10 points. I think this defense, sweet. Thank you for the news, Moonbot. Husker volleyball wins. Awesome.
Thank you, Moonbot.
Awesome. After dropping
Moonbot.
It was a little scary. And since it took that long for us to find that out, I wonder if it went 5 sets. But anyway, I've got us winning 31-21. My main reasoning for that is I think it is a close game late. And then I think we get one of those strip sacks or we get an interception. We force Underwood into a mistake or a fumble, something to that effect. Nebraska gets the ball, goes down and scores with less than 5 minutes left in the game. That touchdown that seals the deal. And then that defense just goes nuts at the end and gets a 3 and out. And Nebraska kneels on it for the last 2 minutes. So that's what I think is going to happen. 31-21. The good guys, and with all the juice that's going to be in that stadium that day, this is going to be like Colorado, number one. Number two, you got the 95 team coming out of the tunnel. They're going to be on the sidelines. These kids, those guys can be there and feed these guys with what they need to know to win games like this. And then, of course, with Terence Bud Crawford and how the team honored him last week, I just think they're ready. I think they're ready to take that step that says, not only are we going to win a close game in the fourth quarter, we're going to make sure that we leave no doubt when it's all said and done. Kind of like what they did at the end of the Cincinnati game. Make something happen late to win the game. Next up, who wants to go?
Yeah, I'll just go. Yeah, I think this is where we finally shake the demon off of our back. And to kind of do a callback to the post Cincinnati game episode we did previewing Akron, and I made the comment of, when was the last time Nebraska was trailing and had a game-winning drive where we go down the field in the final minutes and final seconds of the game and put together a drive where we put points on the board that squeaks us a victory? And I think that this game, like I said, it's a game of narratives. It's been since 2016 that Matt Rule has won against a ranked opponent as a head coach in college football. It's been 9 years. It's been, once again, 9 years since the last time Nebraska has won against a ranked opponent. And then with the symbolic number of Sam Foltz, whether the team knows it or not, this is for him. We're going to win it. And then, we're going to shake that demon off of winning another one-score game for the season, but in the opposite fashion, that we are trailing, and it's 20-23 with 2.5 minutes left in the game, and we go down and we score, leaving only a few seconds left on the clock. And we squeak away a victory, 27-23. Good guys.
I like it. Coach, what do you think?
My prediction, I was actually thinking the opposite way of we get a score to go up 24-20. They get the ball. Let's just say we punt to them, and it's, oh boy, what happens now? You know what I mean? We've seen that. We've kind of seen this story before. And in my mind, here's how I was thinking of this in my mind whenever I was getting ready to send this text. I close my eyes and I start thinking about how I would want this game to end if I'm going to predict the score here. And here's what I'm thinking in my mind is they got to get a touchdown. They get it within the 20. And I'm sure Ken will have some deja vu moments here of Michigan's out of timeouts and they're driving. They get within the 20. They need a touchdown to get a shot to win this game. And they run out of time and do it. And Nebraska holds on to win. That may have been how my Friday night football game ended, with the other team just running out of time. I don't care. I'm bringing it over.
That would be so nice to have an opponent, and in another fashion that they make time management mistakes.
That's what I'm saying. I think it would be amazing, and that's in my
poetic.
mind. When I close my eyes, that's how I was picturing this: is Michigan running to spike a ball, and they don't have time to do it.
Well, unfortunately, Moonbot is in a battle.
Moonbot brought my mood down. He never does that. He made my heart sad.
He's in a tussle with his head and his heart. His heart says a 27-17 victory, but he said he's going to go with his head and say that Michigan wins 31-13. Which,
see, he's preparing himself for the disappointment of 31-13 and the absolute euphoric joy that 27-17 will provide when they actually win. So it's all good. Reverse psychology is working for you, Moonbot. You'll be fine. Your heart will be right. Just the score will be wrong. Oh my gosh. This was a fun episode, guys. I don't know about you, but I had a blast with this.
Like I texted earlier, I've been looking forward to this episode all weekend. I feel like I was literally thinking about it today at work. I was thinking about this podcast tonight.
Well,
I was too.
Me too. I was too. I was at work and guys were asking me about it at work. Hey, are you podcasting tonight and stuff? So I don't know. We might have Kelly from work watching us on YouTube or on
yeah. I'm sure my dad will be listening to this later. So Ken, you got to meet my dad a little bit.
And be nice and tell me that he's actually watching, but he always says he's going to watch and then he never comments. So I'm calling you out, Kelly, assistant golf pro at Hillcrest Country Club.
I'm sure. I think my dad will be listening to this on the audio version on his drive home.
I got to meet your dad Friday night.
Yeah, I was going to say, cool. You got to meet my dad a little bit. So that was kind of cool that you got to meet him last week.
That was really cool, for sure.
I knew you were going to be at the game. I did not know my dad was going to be at the game.
Oh, very cool.
I did not know my dad would be there last Friday. So I thought that was cool.
That was it. Moonbot said, sorry, coach. So he's already feeling bad about his head versus heart pick.
Oh, it's all good. We still love you, Moonbot.
Yeah, we do. We do. Well, let's see here. You know what I didn't mention? Nope, not that. I want to go back to the banner because Justin also had a pick on the score, and he's had to bow out, had to hard out, take care of his dogs and things like that. So 28-24 Huskers is what Justin's got. I'd be curious how he thinks that game would end up. I'm guessing he just thinks that the defense figures it out and the offense gets a late score would be my guess. But yeah, cool. I love it. All four of us are picking a win. Oh, yeah. Lord, please let all four of us.
I know. I was thinking about when the text started rolling in. I was like, oh, geez.
Yeah. So follow info. To follow Justin, just find him at the _H-Town Husker, I think is his Twitter handle.
Yeah.
And then, of course, at the Voice of College Football Nebraska, at the Voice of College Football on YouTube is where you find all his shows, which he does a fantastic, far more detailed breakdown of things in football than what we do here. We're more fan-based, and we just kind of look at things the way we look at them. Coach?
Go to any social media platform at the BA Coaches Show, and you'll find me talking Husker football.
Cool. And just a word of caution, Coach. The next time you show up on one of our streams with a different podcast hat on, that's not the BA Coach Show. I'm pretty much going to have to come down to Uniontown and make an example.
Hey, I will be honest with you. I just grabbed a red hat. Shout out to the boys at NBNR, but also, I actually didn't even know I did that.
I'm messing with you. Don't worry about it.
I know. Cool. Those are great dudes. I do love those guys. They sent me a hat.
Yep.
It's a hat, but no, that's funny. I didn't even realize till you pointed it out.
I was laughing when you were first talking about how everybody starts getting nervous toward the end of the game if Nebraska's got the lead going into the fourth quarter, and I'm thinking Jared's playing in my head going, the balloon knot, it's really, really tight. The balloon knot, I'm like, good Lord.
Hey,
dude.
I know I will do this just because I love those guys. Again, this was unintentional, but you pointed out the hat. Mike Delaware started writing for Sports Illustrated, the Huskers site. So I do want to give him a shout out for that because that's really
huge.
Cool. Mike's a good friend of mine, so I want to throw that out there for him. I'm excited to get to see him this weekend. He's writing for the Huskers Sports Illustrated site. So shout out to him. Go check that stuff out because he does a great job.
Yeah, Mike's awesome people for sure.
Yeah.
Scott.
Yes, you can follow me. I know you had a little battle with yourself there. You can follow me at Scott Genred Pod. That is Scott with 2 T's. The second T is and will always remain silent. You can follow me on X.
Alrighty, and as always, Facebook, Twitter, X, and YouTube at GenRedPod. Website's genredpod.com. Email is genredpod@gmail.com. Follow the podcast. Listen to the podcast at Generation Red on Apple, Google, Spotify, or your favorite podcast catcher app. We'd love to have you. We'd love for you to comment on anything. Leave us a like and a subscribe on this video. We'd really appreciate it. And until next time, for Justin, Coach, Scott, and myself together, we are Generation Red, and we are here to chronicle Nebraska's inevitable return to college football greatness, one podcast at a time, because there is no place like Nebraska.
And Iowa's corn sucks.
In rule, we trust.
Yeah, God, go Big Red.
Rolls off the tongue and out of the heart.
It's beautiful. I love it.
Beautiful. All right, boys. We'll see you next week, and hopefully,
we'll definitely see you in a week.
And then we'll have a bye week that we'll have to talk about what we're going to do for us. So that'll be fun. All right, boys. See ya. Go Big Red.
Go Big Red.